enable, influence, and let go, right?
Yes.
So enable, influence, and let go. That's our product's motto.
Hey everyone, welcome to What's It About with OFRS. And today it is about 2 PMs having a freewheeling discussion on what actually is product management, what are the challenges we face, and what advice we have for budding PMs.
Yeah, and a very exciting rapid fire session for all our viewers.
Nice. So what we'll do is we'll just start off with our brief introductions.
Yeah.
So I am Piyush and I have Ritika with me.
Hello.
Yeah, over to you for your introduction.
Okay, so I'm Ritika. I take care of the product efforts for all the B2B offerings we have in OFRS. I come with a diverse background. I worked across engineering teams, I worked across startups in Gulf, and I've also worked in manufacturing firms, had some hands-on experience with the type of products we are trying to build. So finally I'm here taking care of the core product management efforts. Yeah.
What brings you to product management though?
Yeah, you can't skip your intro part. I think you should do the intro part first.
Anyway, you can do that.
A lot of things actually. So when you have worked across different roles, I think product management is that one role which brings together all the efficacies. So you are building products, so you're close to technology, and you're actually talking to users also. So you're close to the actual business value which we are trying to deliver. So the mix of everything or everything and anything you can do in the product management is something which excited me and made me pursue this thing more.
That's great.
Sounds
great.
Yeah.
So I am Piyush. I take care of the overall product development at OFRS. And I joined around 3.5 years back. We were just around 6 to 7 people. And earlier I had joined in the operations team. And later it was actually someone who said that, okay, you can move into product management. So I thought about it that maybe, it would be a good opportunity for me. Before that, I come from, my first job was at New Sigma, which is into data sciences. I spent around 2 years in data sciences and then I pivoted to something which is very different. It was into political consulting. So there's this firm called Indian Political Action Committee, wherein you plan political campaigns and you be there on the field, on the ground, and you interact with a lot of people. So all the people management skills and all, let's say, how to actually talk to people on the ground, that came from there. And that is how I moved into product management after that. And I think the most beautiful part about product management is that people come in from all diverse backgrounds. It's not a set format, there's no specific degree or there's no specific path which anyone follows.
Right.
There are multiple or multitudes of things where people come into product management.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah. One follow-up question on the intro part. So how is it like becoming a product management and then starting to lead a team of product management? So how does that transition happen?
I mean, in my mind, there are 3 different phases of PM ladder. Once it is, let's say, the base ladder, when you are trying to solve problems, you are trying to scope it and you are trying to give it to the engineering teams,
right,
and you are trying to deliver stuff.
Right.
Then you move up one ladder. Let's say there is PM, senior product managers, and then there's, let's say, someone who's taking care of the team. So step 1 is just trying to scope problems, moving stuff around, getting the engineering team on board with the ideas. Then you move on to thinking about how your product adds value, or let's say building a broad strategy around that. And that is where you try to add business value. Then finally you move on to leading a team, and that's a different ballgame altogether. Then you sort of become an enabler, and you have to accept that role, that it is not you who is going to solve every problem. You have to let go and build a lot of faith in your team and provide them with all the resources figure out where the gaps are, figure out what are the deficiencies in the team, and then try to build a team when you sort of look at that perspective. Fortunately, unfortunately, that was a very compressed timeline in my career.
Maybe I should take some notes out of it. Yeah. So what all was that? It was enable, influence, and let go. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So for all the PMs who want to lead other PMs, 3 mantras: enable, influence, and let go.
Yeah. I think that's a good acronym also that you can derive out of that.
We'll probably put it in the Opherus product team's product charter.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool. So I think you very aptly define what is product management. So those 3 phases are actually what a product manager has to actually go through. I would actually like to delve into the first one, the part related to problem solving. So yes, for me, the exact thing about product management is basically creating some business value out of whatever we are doing. So if you're faced with any business problem, or if you're trying to create a product, so there could be multiple ways to create that product. So this management is basically that art. But if I have to delve more into it, I would say that this art comprises of multiple small arts which are there. One could be this thing which we often talks about. It's like basically a raita management. So product management is like managing the company's raita for everyone. It's like it's about intensive stakeholder management because you guys would have definitely seen those Venn diagrams that product sits in between technology, business, and whatnot. So I think that's an understatement of the categories of stakeholders product deals with. There are definitely much more larger categories of stakeholders we have to deal with, and everyone is facing a different sort of problems. So for example, when we talk to the operations team, they are constantly interacting with clients, they are constantly in that phase of business discovery, and they have different set of problems. But when we talk to the developers or the technical team, so they face different sort of problems. And I felt like the common problem for everyone is that everyone is moving in all different directions. And the product manager's role is like, how do I bring everyone in the same group, in the same box, and get things done. So that's for me product management, how to get things done.
There's a lot of chaos which you have to manage.
Well,
I have a slightly very simplistic or a different take on what product management means to me. So for example, when we are writing code, we are creating some sort of leverage that we cannot do without writing code. Let's say when computers were invented, a lot of things got faster. So it gives you some amount of leverage. So I see money and code as some forms of leverage. Right? You are creating some sort of leverage.
Right.
And being a product manager, you have a lot of leverage at your disposal. In the form of engineers, in the form of other people, in the form of a lot of tools.
Right, that's the currency we have to spend, but we have to find the wise way to spend that currency.
Exactly. Now it is a very powerful role in the sense that you have a lot of leverage at your disposal. How do you actually create business value with this leverage?
But do we really have a leverage? Because so a lot of people say that product you get to make decisions and you get to take shots, and but overall I feel like that we are mainly rearranging the shots and just putting stuff. It's that puzzle, you have to solve or open a door or a key every day so that the whole company and the whole team can move forward from that maze. So that's what it feels like in my mind. There are no shorts here. We are just solving step by step. But as you grow, you create a better, bigger strategy for products.
But maybe it is just about directing that leverage to solve a business value.
Right.
Even if you're not calling the shots. If you are directing it.
Write that down also.
If you are directing everyone in a uniform way that this is the business value that we've got to create, even though I might not be actually responsible directly for solving this, but I'm exactly as I said, I'm being an enabler I'm connecting my operations team with my developer in order to solve this problem.
Right.
It's like the best thing that I like about product management is that you have an ability to create autonomous teams who can solve problems, and this in itself is a leverage that I have at my disposal. Even though I might not be fulfilled at some point of time, I might feel that okay, I am feeling cagey, or I'm feeling some sort of lack of decision-making power. But at the end of the day, it's my responsibility or the product manager's responsibility to actually direct this leverage to solve a particular problem.
But what would you say is the main gratification point for you, like in the job? Like what gets done that you feel happy? Okay, now I've done something with this project or some particular problem.
So there are there are a lot of small wins in day-to-day life that I feel happy about. When I see, let's say, a designer talking about the product, when I see that they have the ownership of actually, they understand that this is the product and this is the business value that we are adding, and they are automatically taking the ownership that okay, this is how the design should be. Or when a developer is actually questioning that this is the way, or is this the way should we do it, I'm actually happy that it is not just a product manager who's responsible
when people actually own up to the work they are supposed to do. That makes you happy.
I'm very happy about that, because I feel that it is not just one person who is actually going to define the product.
Right.
You can call the shots, but if you can empower people and build autonomous teams around that, and that I think is the best part about any organization which is product led. A mature product organization will have people thinking about the product and larger audience building that product thinking. Like this is what we've got to do.
Right.
And everyone from operations to marketing to design to developers will be responsible for doing that. And if we are able to build that sort of culture, and I mean that's a win. That is a win.
Right. No, it does make sense. Cool. I think I'm getting one more question. It's possibly becoming a Q&A for you rather than a podcast. But okay, so there's a very buzzword for product managers which is called as empathy. So everyone talks about empathy has to be built. So what is empathy? Like how would you define empathy?
So I'd say that whenever we are in the crossfire, and we are in the crossfire with respect to multiple interactions and multiple teams that we have to talk to. When I'm talking to a developer, my interaction would be different, wherein if I'm talking to a marketing person, wherein I'm talking to an operations person.
Right.
My interaction, my terminologies, my vocabulary, everything will be different and should be tailored to the audience that I'm talking to. I need to get into the shoes of the developer to understand what he actually wants.
Right.
And how he wants it to be explained. So you have to get in the heads of people, try to understand on how they actually grasp information. Empathy can be even if like my dev team is working late, if they're in the office, it could probably be I can just get them coffee. I can't contribute right now, but I want to enable them to actually perform better. So even if it takes me to actually get a coffee for them or to whatever it may be, to get their job done, I think that's something that a PM should be doing.
So actually this is, so I was actually hoping you will give this answer only, knowing you for some time. So this is the main reason why I picked up this question, because when we go across different podcasts or when we read about empathy, then people are only talking about building empathy from user's perspective for the product which you are building. But that is not the case. I mean, if you want to be a good or possibly a great product manager, you have to empathize with everyone you are working with, because the way we understand, it's very different how other people understand. So this is actually empathy, like be understanding and be reciprocative of every different type of stakeholders you work with. So totally, I mean, expected answer.
Okay, what is it for you? Like, what is like when you talk to other PMs or when you talk to people in the same industry, what is it something that you think that this is one of the qualities that is a must-have for a PM? Apart from empathy, when we talk about like what is the favorite quality about a PM, or when we talk about general qualities of a PM, I think this comes on top, that you have to have empathy.
Yeah, I think it has been just like over glorified. So
yes.
Yeah, and I used to Google a lot what is empathy, but I think probably seeing you in action, it makes more sense that this should be the ideal definition of empathy, that be reciprocative to everyone. But coming back to the question, so for me the main skill, or if I'm trying to hire someone, the one big thing which I try to see is how, so there's another buzzword, but I like this buzzword, it is called as high agency. So high agency individuals are supposed to be people who have very good unblocking attitude. So when we're trying to solve a problem, there could be a host of issues in the way from getting from point A to a solution. Now, sometimes we tend to put those problems on other people. Like, it's not my job, it's someone else's job, and why should I be bothered? So that's a low agency behavior, and I believe that if you are coming into product management, be prepared for these type of problems. That there would be small problems. Maybe QAs are not able to test something, or ops is not able to deploy a solution for a client, or developer is not able to understand. So being a product manager, I think every problem will become your problems, and that is a high agency individual. So if I feel like talking to a person and that person presents this feature or this quality, so I'm like, this is the right person, because this person is going to grow themselves, and this person is going to help others also grow, build a better influence. So this better buzzword, high agency.
Yeah, that's great. I agree with that. It's about getting the job done, whatever it takes.
The unblocking attitude, like whatever it takes to get the work done. I mean, not being a bandit or something, but from the right ways to push people, to nudge people, but not like push people. I think it ties back to what you said, being an enabler. So
I mean, you have to enable other people to do their work efficiently.
Right.
Even if, it's like lighting someone else's candid, and then you have to feel happy about that.
Yeah.
Or you have to accept that this is
right. Actually, humility is this thing. Like when I see people talking and saying that, okay, I get my work done, or the me and I word. So in product management, there is nothing as me and I, because we alone cannot do anything as product managers. So the humility is also, I think, a bigger chunk of what you should be as a product manager.
True. I think we've gone about like a lot of jargon we've thrown there about product management. And would you like to shed some light on some of the interesting problems that you've solved while at O4S?
Right. So, we have both type of products. We have B2B products and we have B2C products as well. But when we talk about B2B, since I'm dealing a lot in B2B products currently, so the main problem which I see overall is that the people who are paying for the product and the people who are actually going to use a B2B product are two different personas. So sometimes we tend to focus on the person who is going to buy the product, and we end up building a feature or a product which is not usable by the person who is on the job. So for me, this was the main problem that I started looking into all different products. And I think cracking into that mindset or that user persona of my product's user, that was the one thing which I hard-headedly focused on, that yes, this is something we should set on. So there were different ways to do it. Like I pushed the designers to go through the UX research work, go talk to the people who are talking to the actual users, go talk to the actual users. So help them build this understanding that yes, so people who are going to use our products, they are probably not very tech savvy. So we want to build something simpler, which they can actually, emulate easily. So this was one main problem which I hard-headedly focused on. And I'm actually happy about it, because when I now talk to designers, they are more centered on the type of product we want to create and the utility or the business value this product will deliver. Back to the other topics around product management. So I think the main if you have to describe in few words, what is the main problem which we face while building a SaaS product, then what would be the top things that comes to your mind?
See, when we say about O4S, we say that we are a B2B SaaS enterprise.
Yeah.
But it's a journey to become SaaS. Software as a service is actually a journey. Everyone we see is trying to build SaaS products because that is the buzzword as we've used this. And like there are a lot of SaaS products out there. But what we have to acknowledge and accept is that it's not from day one that you become SaaS. There is a long journey that you will have to undertake to actually become SaaS. And especially if you're a B2B SaaS enterprise. What happens is that when we are trying to actually build a product, there are a lot of client requirements which come in, which are tangentially different to what we actually want to build. Or maybe we have some notions in our minds that we want to build X, but repeatedly if we are getting other opinions from the client, then we have to really quickly be very agile and pivot, or at least acknowledge that this is something which is not working. So anyway, for product management, the best part is that while we are building this, we can get very quick feedback from the clients. And depending on that feedback, we've got to very quickly then again figure out what exactly to build. There is a quick way of doing it, there's a wrong way of doing it, but eventually we have to think that what actually adds value, what exactly can be a product feature, and what exactly is just not relevant for the overall audience of our product, but it is just relevant for one product.
Yeah, I think this should go into the product charter, adding business value.
Yeah, it should.
No, I think I totally agree on the point that productizing the whole product is a tough challenge, specifically for a company when we are moving from that phase of growth and scale up. So we want to build a lot of good features for our clients, but how to bring harmony in all these features is the biggest challenge when we are building a SaaS product.
True. We want to do that, but would we be able to do that? It's a journey that we have to get to the end of and then actually become a true SaaS company.
Right, so do you want to move to the rapid fire section?
That's the most exciting part of this podcast.
So we have got some embarrassing questions listed down.
No, that's not for me. I have some questions.
There are some not in the list which he's planning to ask
which might surprise you.
Yeah.
So do you want to go first or should I go first?
Sure. I can. No, you should spell out the questions and we can take turns to answer.
Or maybe just ask one question at a time and then keep that surprise element there on what exactly will be the next question.
Oh, works for me.
Okay. I actually have a question that anyway, while getting into product management, people come from a lot of different backgrounds.
Yes.
And I know that you've come from a QA background.
Yes.
Right? How hard or difficult do you find to let that piece go? And do you have that urge that I want to get this released and I want to step in the shoes of a QA? Do you feel it hard to let it go?
Right. So I think it's important to understand that whatever position you are coming from into product management, how to use that lens correctly in this field. So as QA, you are very hands-on. So it's easier to do stuff yourself. So I think that really helps me. Like I don't feel like saying to anyone, okay, you do this. I just feel like, okay, I can do this because I have a very hands-on nature. So that was one quality which was taken from being a QA. And then coming to the let go part, I think QAs live a lot in the moment, and being a product manager, you have to live for the future. You have to build a vision. So to move out from present and move towards future, that is something which I think I'm learning every day.
Hi, that's a good answer.
Cool. So the question comes back to you. How do you transfer your skills, or how did you let go the skills from the previous jobs?
So I was actually having a conversation with one of the developers, and I was explaining to him that I don't come really from a product management background. So he asked me, what were you doing earlier? So I explained to him that I was on ground and I was helping plan a political campaign, and I was talking to a lot of people, and then I went back to my central team to actually tell them that this is what I've gathered, and then they planned a campaign around that and I helped them execute it. So funnily, he said that isn't it what you're doing right now? So I'm like,
Nice.
then it made sense to me that yes, in some form or the other, in my previous job also, I was gathering some user stories, I was relaying it, making sense of it, telling my central team about that, and they built a campaign around that. Same applies for product management. You get very deep into gathering the business requirements, and then you try to make sense out of it, then you try to productize it, and then you release a feature. I think I was actually blown away with the developer that I was talking to.
So much transparency you had in from the previous job to this job.
I mean, there are skills which I actually learned while being in a role which was totally different from a tech background. But when it made sense to me, I actually appreciated that I went through that journey in order to reach here.
Right.
I think that was the best part, when I could actually make sense out of my career only.
Yeah.
So that was a light bulb sort of moment that okay, this makes sense to me now.
Yeah. So it's digressing a lot from being a rapid fire, but I want to add just one thing there, that for a product manager, it is very, very important to make sense out of your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Because at any point of time, the amount of information we have to process is huge.
Yeah.
There are a lot of pings, there are a lot of emails, tasks going around. So if you can't make sense out of your own work goals, your own thoughts for an idea, you definitely can't lead a team. So
actually, which brings me to a very interesting thought. I was going through something on the internet and I stumbled upon something called an imposter syndrome. So
that's another buzzword we should probably cover in this session. Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. So a lot of times we do feel underconfident about our own abilities, and we feel that do we fit into this particular role, or can I fill in these shoes? I mean, it's a struggle. It can be, sometimes it can be a little lonely also, because you have to make so many decisions and you can feel the weight of those decisions.
Yes.
And then you have to power through that particular aspect and stick to your guns that this is what we are going to build.
Right.
This is what the decision is.
I think this magnifies when you are not just doing your work, but you are leading other product managers also. Because how do you constantly guide people who are reporting to you to actually do the right thing? So
no, sometimes it's that you have to acknowledge that there are people who are smarter than you.
Yeah.
And then the best thing you can do is just let them decide and not interfere and not try to make a point.
Yeah, right. I've written that down. Enable, influence, and let go.
I'll not reiterate. I think you've got that right.
Yeah, I think the product manager must summarize everything. So we are just gonna summarize the whole section at the end of this video for all of you.
Yes, that's great. That's great.
Cool. Coming back to the rapid fire, and we'll try to stick to the rapid fire fashion this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is? I think this is your favorite question. So I'll ask this to you.
Yeah.
PMs are mini CEOs. What do you think about that, and why do you think it is the case, or is it the case or not?
Right. So this is also a jargon, right? Like product managers are like mini CEOs.
Yeah.
So I do agree to it with some extent. In fact, a few days back when I was talking to our CEO, he was telling me about how his day goes into managing different internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, and that is something which he can't run away from. Like he has to talk to people, be it any internal person who walks up to him telling about a problem, or someone from outside. So I feel a product manager also cannot just run away from stakeholder management. Like we cannot avoid replying to anyone back on Messenger or not replying to emails. We have to be present. We can go there and say that okay, we don't have the answer right now, but we'll try to find that answer. So you have to be present. You have to manage these stakeholders efficiently. So that is something which a CEO has to do, and a product manager also has to do. So in a mini way.
Yeah, I'd just like to build on that. Just one thing, that when you are a startup, when you are a Series A or Series B or Series C funded startup, you are on a treadmill, and this goes on.
Right.
And you have to raise funds again and again and again in order to actually reach a position where you can add a lot of value. What happens is that who's the person who's actually making these efforts, reaching out to VCs, reaching out to people in order to actually get another funding round. It's the CEO.
Right.
Now that's the dirty part, wherein you have to reach out to a lot of VCs and you have to reach out for money.
Yeah.
What do? You place a guy and you say that you take care of the product while I take care of the money aspect of it.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, and then you let that person make all the decisions on what to build and what not to build. I think that is a role for a product manager, and I think that's very empowering, and it's a very powerful role. While your CEO is away getting money, you can create what you want to create.
You can build whatever you want to build.
Yeah.
If developers agrees with you, if operations agrees with you, if marketing agrees to sell it. So there are a lot of ifs, but you can build whatever you want.
Which brings me that what is your favorite quality? Again, I think we are revisiting this. But again, what is your favorite quality?
Right, so I will give you a new one in this. So I think influence, definitely. A product.
I actually wanted to say it because we're discussing that. But
so
yes.
I think influence comes for a product manager when you are able to put forward your thoughts, your ideas in a nice way, in a way which connects with different varieties of stakeholders. So you definitely have to be a storyteller. You have to be able to set this vision for all different teams.
Yeah.
So be a storyteller.
Yeah, I agree.
But back it with data. Without data, no one is gonna agree with your story.
True. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to actually get people into buy-in into what you are actually thinking. A lot of people, a lot of times, it's like, I mean, building on the influence bit of it. I think that there are some irritating aspects also. You are having some sort of vision in your mind, wherein there'll be some other person, a very important stakeholder.
Right.
He might say that no, we should do it this way. What happens is I was going through something again, and I found this acronym. Usually I don't like acronyms, but this acronym was very funny. It stands for HIPPO.
Highest paid person opinion or something, yeah?
Yeah, it stands for highest paid person's opinion.
Okay.
And I had another acronym which actually I coined. It's the loudest person's opinion. LIPO.
Makes sense.
There are two sort of people. There is a highest paid person and there is a loudest person.
Yeah, I should probably note that down also. LIPO in a B2B setup.
Yes. And every day it's a struggle to convince the highest paid person and to convince the loudest person.
Yeah.
To actually bring them onto the same page that this is what we're going to build.
So we're sort of de-glorifying the art of product management right now. Cool. So what's your one go-to quality? Like, if a person doesn't have this, like, let's not hire this person.
I have to think on that about what comes off like directly when I think of, let's say, what do I want in a product manager? I think we've anyway got down into 3, 4, 5 and we've dissected it, a lot of it. But I think that although you've given it a label, what did you say? Being industrious or what term?
High agency.
High agency.
Yeah.
So that ability of just unblocking, I think that's the best thing that we'd want in a PM.
But how do you go about judging this in a 60-minute interview with a person, that if a person is actually having this unblocking attitude or not?
That's with the help of a case study. So usually, whenever I'm talking to a PM, I have a very wacky case study, whatever comes to my mind, and I see what sort of questions do they ask, what sort of efforts do they make in order to know the problem and not directly dive into the solution bit of it.
Right.
So I think that's very important, that you acknowledge what you are actually trying to solve, and then you get deeper into actually solving it. Usually a lot of people, and including me, a lot of times what mistakes we make is that we dive deeper into the solution.
Right.
That this is what we want to do. But we don't actually acknowledge what the problem is.
Yeah, and we end up creating a solution which probably will never get used.
True.
One problem.
Yeah. I think that's a net that we usually follow.
Yeah, I should probably write that down also. Explore the problem first and then start building we should put this in Opera's product philosophy, right?
Yes. Actually, while we are talking, we are actually building stuff for our team.
Yeah, we are actually building Opera's product philosophy in this session. Makes sense. Cool. Coming back to the rapid fire ones, and now we're gonna ask some dirty questions.
Dirty? Oh,
yeah. So, what is a PM's worst nightmare? No, actually, scratch that. What is your worst nightmare as a PM?
My worst nightmare is that when I have some data back decision and I'm able to convince myself in the head, because anyway I'm very critical about whatever decisions I make, but I have the data and I'm trying to make sense. But there's this one person, loudest person in the room, who's like, no, this is what we'll do. I'm like, how? Or I have all this information. Then it takes a lot of influence, as we established. It takes a lot of effort to bring that person back.
Right.
This is what you wanted to do. Anyway, general problems are there, that delivery is not happening, or there is some fire issue, or there is some bug on the production side. That's fine. I mean, you can't really escape that. That will be there. But I think I'll settle with just convincing the loudest person.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I think for me it is like if I release a product and then next day that product is not working on production, that's gonna be my worst nightmare. So I try to like nudge everyone around. Have you done this? Have you done this? Like everything I can think of, and so that's my worst nightmare. Like coming into the office and there are like 100 fire issues, the product is not working. So let's try to avoid that.
Let's just elaborate on what are actually fire issues. I think this is a term that we've coined internally.
Yeah, that's a
very Ophorus-ish jargon. The fire issues are generally production.
Fire issues are like dragon breathing fire. So fire issues have different definitions for everyone. So for operations team, I think it is because the client is not happy. And for us it is like, why is client not happy? And I think for developers it is like, इसमें तो मेरी कोई गलती नहीं है. So that's fire issues.
Yeah. What is what's been the most fulfilling thing like of late for you?
Right. I think the most fulfilling thing would be this enabling part only. For me to. So when I joined the organization, I was under impression I'll probably be a product manager, solve things, and be more like an individual contributor. But then when you enter into the role and there are a lot of people who are also looking up to you in different ways, so enabling them or helping them also grow in their career, be it a developer or maybe it could be a small thing like prioritizing a developer's task so that they can peacefully work through the week, or helping a designer understand the business problem, or just like helping a marketing person build up a possible solution which can be sold to the clients. So this enabling part is something which is very fulfilling to me, and I think it has also helped me evolve as a person, become more humble toward the job. So humility is the another jargon.
That's great. That's a poetic answer.
Poetic. Yeah, you can give any dirty question, but the poetic answer is only which is your
poetic answers to dirty questions.
Yeah.
That is what we do.
Cool.
Yeah.
So my turn to ask the question. So if there's one thing which you could not do, what would that be?
What you could not do, as in what context?
So if you could drop from your plate, like I don't want to do this, so what would that be?
Oh, that's a very dirty question. That's a dirty question. Sometimes I do feel like I can't really answer what I want to drop. Sometimes I do feel like dropping people management for some point of time, and actually but I mean, just being honest, that actually getting into some sort of problem solving, then I restrict myself that I shouldn't be diving micro and not going into solving the problem myself. Then I again pull back myself and say that when you come back to your role, which is sometimes difficult, that you have to again empower that person and make that person to solve it. Sometimes it's like I'm on a call and someone is explaining this thing and I'm stopping myself from actually explaining it the way that I want to.
Yeah.
And then I have to stop myself. No, I shouldn't be doing this. Probably I'll revisit it again with that person and then tell him that this is probably the better way of doing it. It is very challenging, and sometimes you've got to stop yourself from actually interfering in a call, and just stopping yourself is very hard.
So the let go part needs to be built more on.
It is very hard. It was very hard. Although I think I've been doing fine, but still I think that could be better.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, coming back to our rapid fire questions list.
Yeah. What is one advice that you would have for someone who is actually trying to break into product management?
So I think the main thing is like first try to understand that why do you want to get into this role, because this is not a niche IC type of role.
Yeah.
In this role, even though someone doesn't report to you, but you sort of manage their work pipeline without authority. So my advice would be like first get your heart clear. What is it? What attracts you about product management? And once you are there, once you understand that why you want to get into this, start taking some big small risks around this. So I mean, product management cannot be done like sitting on the shore. So you have to just like get deep into the analysis, take some risks, maybe leave your current comfortable job and then go into a startup and start building products out of nowhere. So yeah, I mean, first get your heart clear and then be ready to take some risks, because in product management, no one is going to come and tell you what to do. People are going to, look up to you to tell them what you should do or what they should do.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the short and beautiful answer.
Yeah. But just building on that is that I think what helps is getting yourself into the community. There's a very strong community of product managers, and I think people play a very important role, wherein you have a mentor who's, let's say, 4 or 5 years ahead of you, at least some way ahead of you. And I think mentoring goes a long way. It goes a very long way. So even in my journey of product management, I did look up to some people within the organization. There were a lot of people and a lot of developers also who were very kind with respect to the learning curve that I had. Although it was a very steep learning curve.
Right.
But I think the best part is to find that set of good people who you actually trust and who you look up to. Once you have, as you said, once you figure out in your heart that you want to actually do this, then I'd say that you should necessarily engage within the community and find a set of at least good 4 or 5 people who you can actually seek out when you are actually stuck with a problem. I think that is something very important.
Right.
Yeah. I think even in coming back to this, so I have a vivid memory of you telling me about your previous organization's mentor. Would you mind elaborating on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think throughout our journey, when we talk to different people, we report to different, people in our, we always have a boss or something, right? So we actually imbibe a lot of qualities from these people. So fortunately for me, all the bosses which I have been very, empathyful. I don't know what's the word for that, but yeah, I think that's one. So the main thing is you have to understand what is the area where you are lacking. So you pick a person who you think is good in that area, and then probably try having conversations with them or see how they conduct their business and pick up the good things from there. So possibly it's not really viable to have a mentor, one-on-one mentor to talk to every time, but the way people solve different problems, like if someone is really good in managing stakeholders, or if someone is really good in presenting their ideas, so you can always see what technique are they using? Are they using a lot of written content, or are they using building a story, or how they are doing it? So it is about self-learning, and I think today's era is more about P2P learning. So there is no student and teacher concept. So everything is like a cohort based learning or a P2P based learning model. So yeah.
Do you have that sort of person who you actually looked up to in your previous jobs?
I think a lot of different people. It would be unfair to name any one person, because there have been different people I've picked different things from. So some of them were really like we tend to get very over enthusiastic about something we know, but we have to give the space to other people to also come up to that same level of understanding. So for example, if I am reading a problem, I'll probably understand it very fast, but then others might take some time or need some data or need some more explanation. So there have been people who helped me, tone down and bring it to that level and build some empathy that yes, you have to give breathing room to everyone, which is a must quality for a product manager, which is one of the frustrating points as well, that okay, I'm able to understand it, why is this person not able to understand it? But we have to give that space. So there have been different mentors who helped around such cases.
Great. Any final words that you want to conclude with?
Nothing per se. I think. But you have not told the answer to the last rapid fire question.
Which was?
Which was that about the mentors, like what was it? Yeah, the advice for someone who is trying to break into product management.
We did cover that.
Going back to what should we end this podcast with, at what note? So I can possibly summarize everything we have done now. So we have actually successfully concluded building the OFRS product philosophy.
Yeah.
And the first and main point of that product philosophy is enable, influence, and let go. Right?
Yes.
So enable, influence, and let go. That's our product's motto. And keep building intuitively usable products. That's my LinkedIn profile motto, but
So there's a lot of jargon which we threw and a freewheeling discussion. So if you liked it, hit the subscribe button and press on the like button.
Yeah, like and share, and I think we'll be dropping a video every week. So please keep stay tuned and keep subscribed.
Yes.
Okay.
See you later.
See you later.